Please note, we would like to make it very clear, we are totally against the form of discipline described in the articles and accounts being used on minors and non-consenting adults. Whipped and sentenced to hard labor for stealing books, rabbits and celery. Real-life artful Dodger gang of Victorian child criminals are seen in newly unearthed police mugshots. Chilling evidence of Victorian child offenders, some of whom were as young as 10 when they were jailed, have resurfaced. The evidence, which originate from Wandsworth Prison in London, were recorded in December 1872 to January 1873. Most of these child criminals were arrested or brutally punished for stealing seemingly petty items that would barely warrant a police caution today. Thomas Casey, 13, was whipped and given 4 days hard labor at Wandsworth Prison for stealing a rabbit in January 1873. James Ledbetter, 11, was whipped and given 4 days hard labor at Wandsworth Prison for stealing celery in January 1873. Thomas Savage, 11, was given 4 days hard labor and 10 strokes of a birch cane, sick, at Wandsworth Prison for stealing some iron, in December 1872. Eli Grangerm, 14, was whipped and given 6 months hard labor for attempting to commit identity fraud in January 1873. In the United Kingdom, birching was a judicial penalty in both juvenile and adult cases until 1948. It was not until the 1908 Children's Act that changes were made to the way child offenders were punished. Juvenile courts were introduced and children could no longer be placed in adult prisons or executed for capital crimes. However, minors could still be whipped. James W. Hempson, 13, was given 10 strokes of a birch cane and 4 days hard labor at Wandsworth Prison for stealing a box of figs in January 1873. Charles Evans, 14, was whipped and given 3 days hard labor at Wandsworth Prison for stealing a pile of books in January 1873. George Davis, 14, was whipped and given 3 days hard labor at Wandsworth Prison for stealing a pile of books in January 1873.